So once again, a very good evening, guys, and we are back with day two of this initiative called Civil's Daily Answer Wars and Daily Answer Wars Prime. And I hope all of you are improving your answer writing skills and making full use of this initiative. So good evening once again, and today again we will discuss the question that was given in the morning, and then after that we will check out some of the copies that you guys have submitted in the Telegram group. Also, I have seen that all of you are doing peer review, which is pretty great. So keep on doing that, and I think that will help you understand how to write answers better. Like you can also pick up points from other copies and incorporate that in your answers. Again, the good copies I will announce it after this session. So good evening, Harji. So we start with the question. Today's question was, what are the major challenges of public distribution system in India, and how can it be made effective and transparent? So this was a very straightforward question, I will say. And also this question has been asked in GS paper 3 in this year only. And public distribution system is always very much in news because of its effectiveness or ineffectiveness, you can say, and therefore it always makes up for a good topic which can be asked in the mains. So now let us start with how to frame the answer. So basically we will again go with the same format. Like first we will write an introduction, and then go on to talk about the challenges, and then write the how it can be made more effective and transparent. Now you did not write a separate way forward here because it has already asked that how can it be made effective and transparent. So that is already a way forward that the question itself is asking. So you could have just mentioned this subheading and talked about the way forward there, and then concluded it. Also, since this is a 10 marker, so you don't get that space and all to write very much. Content should be very sharp and limited, but it should cover whatever the main things that has been asked in the question. Main things, core demand, you can say, are addressing the challenges of this PDS, and then suggesting steps for making it more effective and transparent. So we start with the introduction. In the introduction, I have just defined PDS because that is the best way to start here, because you need not to give any data and all here. Although if you had something in your mind, you can use it to become a bit innovative, but this is a pretty safe introduction that I have written. The public distribution system is a food security system for the poor, established by the government of India under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. So this is basically about food security, so I mentioned that here. Next, I have talked about the process of it. While the center is responsible for procurement, storage, transportation, and bulk allocation of food grains, the states hold the responsibility for distributing the same to the consumers through the established network of fair price shops. So I have just explained this a bit because you need to talk about, in the latter part of the answer, you need to talk about making it more effective and transparent. So just giving a basic idea of how the system runs becomes quite mandatory in this question. So I have just given this. Also, what you could have done is, like, you could have just drawn a diagram if you were short on space and all. So this diagram is also pretty explanatory, and it could have been drawn to gain some extra marks, and then you could have avoided the writing this like explanation about how the system runs. So in the diagram, you can see I have talked starting from the farmer and then gone on to talk about the beneficiary. So this is the steps in the PDS that are involved. Farmer to center, center procures it in its FCI godowns, Food Corporation of India godowns, and then it passes over the stock to the state governments, and then the state governments are responsible for retail distribution through these fair price shops, and then fair price shops finally give it out to beneficiaries. So this is how the system runs. So you could have used this diagram to make your answer a bit better. Next, we move on to the challenges of the public distribution system in India. So that was one of the most important aspects which this question needed you to address. So you could again I have just explained it a bit in more words, because so that you can understand what I mean by these points. Otherwise, if you are sharp at explanation, what you could have done is just you could have mentioned these challenges and explained it very simply in like phrases also, that could have also been fine. So identification of beneficiaries is one of the major challenges of PDS, because we see that there are many inclusion and exclusion, both errors are there. So the deserving people don't get the benefits of this system, while the undeserving, even if they are rich, they try to extract the benefits of this system. So that is one of the biggest challenges. Studies have shown that targeting mechanisms such as targeted PDS are prone to large inclusion and exclusion errors. This again, what you could have done innovative here is you could have mentioned some data point that this is the percent of inclusion exclusion. So even if you don't do that, I think this is fine. After that, this implies that entitled beneficiaries are not getting food grains, while those that are ineligible get undue benefits. So that is the first point. Next, I have talked about the leakage of food grains. So there are middlemen involved. What happens is the fair price shop owners, they itself do black marketing, like they sell it for more prices than what they are allotted to do, and that is also one of the issues. Transportation leakages are also present in this system. So PDS suffers from large leakage of food grains during transportation to and from ration shops into the open market. Next, the issue is with procurement. Open-ended procurement, that is all incoming grains accepted, even if buffer stock is filled, creates a shortage in the open market. So sometimes what happens is the government has to procure in many cases due to that MSP clause. So this open-ended procurement is done, and what happens? The grains get rotten in the godowns of FCI, and at the same time there is a shortage in the open market. So that issue also needs to be addressed. Issues with storage. A performance audit by the CAG has revealed a serious shortfall in the government storage capacity. So I have talked about that here only. So storage capacity is like the cold storage and all are pretty much lacking in our country. So that is also one of the major issues, and that is why the food gets rotten. So given the increasing procurement and incidents of rotting food grains, the lack of adequate covered storage is bound to be a cause of concern. Next, again, I have talked about this MSP thing, discourages crop diversification, because we all know that rice and wheat are the most prominent crops that especially farmers in the northwestern part of India grow, so that they can get an MSP for that. So the provision of minimum support price has encouraged farmers to divert land from production of coarse grains to rice and wheat. Next, I have also tried to bring in the environmental dimension here. The overemphasis on attaining self-sufficiency and a surplus in food grains, which are water intensive, has been found to be environmentally unsustainable. So this is again, you can say that this point is again derived from this one only, paddy, rice and wheat systems. Also, you can see that I have tried to put these points at the bottom of the challenges, because most of the important challenges, for example, this identification of beneficiaries and leakage of food grains and all, should be mentioned at the top of your answer. Next, I have talked about how to make it more effective and transparent. So again, Aadhaar could be used here in a big way. So role of Aadhaar is there. Integrating Aadhaar with targeted PDS will help in better identification of beneficiaries and address the problem of inclusion and exclusion errors. So this has been going on, but still we have not reached that level, that this inclusion exclusion error is like still persistent. So we need to utilize Aadhaar in a more effective manner. Next, I talked about technology-based reforms. Now, this was a committee which was appointed by the Supreme Court, Vadhva committee, for looking into reforms in this system. So that committee argued for technology-based reforms which help plug leakages of food grains. For example, you can talk about digitization of ration cards, computerized allocation to fair price shops, issue of smart cards in place of ration cards, use of GPS technology, SMS-based monitoring, and all of these. Like you need not write all of these. Even if you could have written this name of this committee, that is Vadhva committee, and mentioned one or two points, I think that would have been sufficient. So these things could be implemented. Next, again, I have derived from the challenges itself. For example, storage, as we know, is a major challenge. So improving storage capacities. So this can be done by bringing in private investment, for because only if we use government investment, so it becomes very like chargeable on the government. So storage capacities can be augmented across the country by using funds under schemes as well as through private investment in PPP mode. So both of these things can be done, because we need a lot of storage basically. Checking corruption. So this is about that black marketing thing and all. So every state UT government is required to set up vigilance committee at the state, district, block and fair price shop level, which will regularly supervise the implementation of the scheme. So these are the most important points for writing in order to make the PDS effective and transparent. So transparency at the ground level is also an issue which can be ensured by increasing public participation through social audits and participation of self-help groups, cooperatives, and NGOs. So whenever you use the word transparency, these words like social audits, use of NGO, civil society. This should already you should be these things should be in your subconscious of your mind, so that whenever you are writing about transparency, uh, you automatically use these keywords in your explanation. So next, the last point I've talked about is biofortified foods, because there is also issue of malnutrition. So there is a need, and since the PDS caters to the poorest of the poor also, so biofortified foods can make this problem of malnutrition uh, give a give us a boost to challenge this problem of malnutrition in India. So this was all about it. Like most of the points, I think I have covered here. What you could have done is like you could have used only 3 4 points. No need to write all of those. But still, like this is structuring, and some of these points were mandatory, especially the first 2 3 points in both the parts, to get some decent amount of marks. Next, I have concluded with basically looking a bit way forward only. PDS is one of the biggest welfare programs of the government, helping farmers sell their produce at remunerative prices, as well as the poorer sections of society to buy food grains at affordable rates. So here just I have emphasized that the importance of PDS, because PDS is nowhere going, so it is there to stay. So I have talked about this. And next, I have mentioned how to futuristic statement about how to improve this system, strengthening of the existing system by capacity building and training of the implementing authorities, along with efforts to plug leakages, is the best way forward. So you can say that in the conclusion, basically what I have done is summarize this whole answer, the way forward, especially, and the first part is like just emphasizing the importance of PDS. So that was it for today. Like this answer, if you could have written along these lines, I think you could have got good marks, especially if you could have drawn this diagram and all. Otherwise, also if you missed drawing this, I think some of the important points, if you can mention in both the challenges and making it effective, I think that would have been sufficient for today's answer. Now let us move to the copies that you all have posted in the group, and let us see where what all mistakes you have done and all. So good evening, Nisha. Good evening, Saira. So let us talk about Nikhil's copy first. So I think what he has done is first page is like in the bottom. So let me check. No, I think something is missing in this answer. You have just posted one page, Nikhil. So I think you can just check it out, and then I can give you a review over this answer. Uh, your way forward and all is fine. Government steps taken, you can write, but that was not much required. So you can use this to write a better way forward. For example, Aadhaar linking, digital payment, digitization, and all I have just talked about, so that you can use. So this is fine. Digitization of process, alternatives to PDS. This can be tried, but since here we are talking about making PDS more effective, so better than talking about the alternatives, you give some steps to make it more effective. Because the question is not questioning how PDS is should PDS be there or not, but it is asking you to analyze how to make it more effective. So rather than writing alternatives, you can talk about making it more effective. Santa Kumar committee recommendations are also fine. This can be written, but I think the first part of your answer is missing, so I cannot give marks and all in this answer. Next, I move to Vivek's copy. So the public distribution system evolved as a food distribution system at affordable prices. It's fine. It distributes subsidized food and non-food items to India's poor. Okay. Major challenges of PDS in India. So what you could have done here is just talked about the process a bit, so that the examiner knows what is going to follow. Because since you are writing the challenges, so what is the existing structure in very brief? You can mention that, either draw a diagram or just write one line about that. Next, major challenges, structural issues is fine, procurement issues is good, storage issues is also fine, allocation issues, huge errors, and okay. So these points are good, like you have mentioned in most important points first. You can also talk about corruption here when you talk about this transportation and leakage. So you can mention black marketing and all. Environmental issues is also fine, increased procurement price of rice and wheat has changed the cropping. So this is good. Excessive irrigation has led to salinization. Okay, so this is fine. The cumulative PDS system is subjected to huge subsidies, affects government's exchequer, good quality food replaced with bad quality, fake ration cards, and black marketing. So these issues can be mentioned in the first part itself. I think these 2 points. And I don't think this is a very relevant point, because again, this question is not asking questioning the PDS system itself, but this question is asking to make how to make it better. So that itself says that the question is in support of this system. So rather than showing negatives that it should be dropped or arguing for along those lines, you need to just mention what are the issues in the current system. Measures to make it effective and transparent. Wadhwa committee recommendation is fine. Okay, this is good. Nice use of example. You can do it to make it more efficient. Adoption of technology in PDS, that is smart metering. This is also fine. Improving storage capacities on PPP mode. Mentoring through social audit. Increase participation. Okay. POS reforms, PDS reforms strongly related to agricultural reforms, a sensitive subject, and multi-stakeholder participation is required to make it more efficient. So I think again, content-wise, your answer is pretty good, Vivek. Just the first part could have been a bit better. Like you could have just drawn a diagram or just mentioned how the process runs at present in India. So that could have given the background for talking about the challenges or making it more effective. Otherwise, the rest of the answer is pretty good. I think you will get 4.5 out of 10 in this answer, Vivek. Next, we move to Sahiba's copy. So the public distribution system in food security system is A. It should be A here, that evolved as a system for distributing food grains at affordable prices and managing emergency situations. So this is again fine. So here again, you could have just drawn a diagram and briefly talked about the process challenges associated with PDS in India, procurement, storage. So why I am saying that you need to mention the process is because see, in the challenges, all of you, what you will write is like these things you'll write: procurement, storage, allocation of food grains. So first tell the examiner that these things are happening in what are these things are happening in the PDS system. You need to make that straightforward, clear, that this is the system that we have got, and in each step, then these challenges are there. So you are just directly going to the steps. So basically, you can just mention this procurement process a bit. Challenges: procurement is fine. Gap between required and existing storage capacity, good. Provision of MSP has encouraged farmers to, okay. Storage CAG, okay. Allocation of food grains, identification of beneficiaries, illicit fair price shops. This is also fine. Transportation, illicit fair price shops are not there. Basically, you can talk about black marketing in the fair price shops or involvement of middlemen and all. Transportation leakage and okay, this is good. Rising food subsidy is also fine. Ghost cards in several states, ghost cards are made in the name of non-existent people. So this is again, you can just integrate with that inclusion exclusion point. So that will be good. However, PDS can be made effective and transparent through various ways. Effective doorstep delivery to meet inadequate food supply, separate cadre for ration inspection, storage capacity is okay. Abolishing levy rise, outsourcing of stocking of grains, the grievance redressal mechanism. Okay, fine. End-to-end computerization. This is fine. Again, here you have mentioned the steps are pretty good. Just mention the Wadhwa committee here to get some like bonus points. So that will be good for incorporating in your answer. Otherwise, it is again decent answer. Content is good. However, we must approach this bold vision with utmost caution, because PDS is a crucial lifeline for many Indians. The reform like one nation, one ration card should be handled with more care. So I think again this was not needed here, one nation, one ration card, because this is a different thing. So just like you have again tried to introduce a new thing in the conclusion, which I think can be avoided. If the question was about like discrepancy in the ration card or inclusion exclusion beneficiaries, then only about that, then this thing is more relevant. Otherwise, you can just broadly talk about making the whole system more effective and transparent. But still, content wise, answer is pretty good. Introduction could have been improved a bit. So you will also get 4.5 out of 10 in this answer, Sahiba. Next, we move to Anirudh's copy. So what are the major? Okay, public distribution system is an Indian food security system involved as a system for the management of food security and food distribution at affordable prices. This is again fine. Again, the same mistake I will say. Try to write a bit about the PDS system that is present, so that that gives a context to what you are writing next. Identifying the beneficiary storage issues. Many studies have shown that okay, after buying the food grains from the farmers, government is not being able to okay leakage of food grains. So this is also good. Coast cards is also fine. So again, here you could have added some more dimensions. For example, environmental dimensions. Talk of MSP and all, like paddy wheat system, and due to that, like reducing groundwater and all, you could have mentioned that. But yeah, those points were subsidiary points, so you could have just mentioned after all of this. So these are the most important points that you have already mentioned, so that is good. Making PDS effective and transparent, introducing fortification. So again, see, this thing could be mentioned in the last, because fortification is not the main issue here. Fortification is one of the issues. It will prevent in helping malnutrition, but you need to suggest steps of making the system more effective and transparent first. So talk about like what are how to solve the issues of the system. For example, how to solve the challenges you have mentioned, like solving this problem of beneficiary identification, solving this problem of storage, solving the problem of leakage of food grains. So these things should be mentioned first. After that, you can talk about fortification and all. Taking help of SHGs and NGO is fine. It will increase the transparency certainly. Making use of advanced technologies, again, these things can be mentioned first in the answer. The targeted public system will ensure the problems related to the inclusion and exclusion of the beneficiaries. This is also fine. Public distribution system provides food security for millions of Indians. For millions of Indians will be there who are poor for their daily food necessities. So effective measures and transparency are that most. So this is also decent. Like you have gone on the same lines, that first you have just emphasized the importance of PDS and then taken a futuristic way forward. So again, some points are missing in this answer, which can be incorporated. You can check out some of the good copy that I will put in the Telegram group, and introduction could have been a bit better. So I think 4 out of 10 is what you will get in this answer, Anirudh. Next, I move to Puja's copy. PDS is an Indian food security system established under Ministry of Consumer Affairs. Food. Okay, fine. So again, I think the same mistake. You could have just talked a bit about the system first, then gone on to mention the challenges. Challenges of public distribution system, identification of beneficiaries. This is okay. They are not getting this fine. Leakage of food grains, transportation, black marketing. Good. So I was just talking about this. Like you can use some of this data if you remember to substantiate your points. Issues with procurement is also fine. Open-ended procurement, you have mentioned. Issues with storage, performance audit by CAG. This is also good. Environmental issues. So overall, nice answer. Ways to make PDS transparent and effective. Ration cards should be digitized. Introduction of electronic weighing machines. Authenticate whether food grains distributed through PDS is received by eligible household. Okay. Integrating Aadhaar with TPDS will help. So this is also a decent enough answer. Most of the things that should be mentioned have been mentioned. So I think content-wise, the answer is pretty rich. Thus, PDS is one of the biggest welfare programs of the government. It's recognized by enhanced with technology-based solutions. Just that introduction part could have been made a bit better. Otherwise, I think this answer is also good. So 4.5 you will also get in this answer, Puja. Next, we move to Chinese answer. So what are the major challenges? This fine PDS is government-sponsored chain of shops interested with. So I think the definition could have been a bit better. Like it is not a government-sponsored chain of shops. This is a system basically. So not only shops will be there, but for example, let's at many stages, many different things have to play a role. For example, transportation is also a part of the system. Storage in the FSKI godowns is also a part of the system. So rather than what you are talking about is basically the fair price shops. So that is FPS, not PDS. And this is fine. The objective you have mentioned, interested with the mode of distributing basic food and non-food commodities to the needy people at marginal prices. Next, this is pretty good. This is what I was talking about. You can just draw this diagram and show how the system runs at present, and then go on to identify the challenges of PDS in India. Identification of beneficiaries is also good. For example, she has also used this data, so that is fine. Lack of updated data is also good. Issues in procurement is fine. Leakage of food grains, black marketing you could have mentioned here. Food wastage is good, but this could be integrated with like storage. So okay, you have not mentioned storage till now. So the, overall storage is a problem. So that is why there is a shortage in the open market as well as food wastage in the FCI godowns. Lack of crop diversification is also fine. Environmental issues you have also mentioned. So I think just you could have made some of the points a bit better. Otherwise, I think the content is good. You have mentioned the most important issues. Measures to make PDS effective and transparent. Linkage of Aadhaar is fine. Digitalization of ration cards, universal PDS. Kanta Kumar committee, okay. Food coupons, e-rupee can. This is also good. One nation. So these things you can use in your answers, everybody, so that this shows that the current affairs is also being linked somewhere to the answer. One nation, one ration card is also fine. So with around, again, Vadva committee could have been mentioned here along with this committee, and that could have given a bit more better impression to the examiner about your knowledge. With around 22% of BPL population in India, effective PDS is a sine qua non to ensure food security. Taking proper steps will increase transparency and ensure every citizen's right to nutritious food while propagating good health. This is also fine. Conclusion, I think you have gone on the same lines that I have mentioned. Like first, just talked about importance of PDS, and then gone on to take a futuristic conclusion. In these, like for example, here you could have also talked about biofortification in all to make the PDS effective and transparent. If you had some space, what you could have done is like digitization and food coupons and all of this could be linked in one point. Like point number 2 and 5 could have been mentioned in a single point, because this is also, you can say, one of the implementation of the digitization process. So, and then you could have got some space to mention some other dimensions also. But still, I think since you have written the answer pretty well, like introduction and all, this is a very good thing that you have written. So I think you will also get 4.5 out of 10 in this answer, signing. So that was it for today, guys. Like I have tried to show you some of the copies, and again we will be meeting tomorrow with a new question, new topic, and new set of copies. So keep on writing consistently, and I will pick your copy. And I try to ensure that in every 2 days or 2 or 3 days, most of the copies that those guys are writing consistently, I get to review those so that you can understand whether you are lacking or not. And also, what you can do is keep on continuing the peer review process that all of you have been doing it so well till now. So that will be it for today, guys. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in this chat box. So I think Manoj answered. Thank you. Okay, I will try to see some more copies and post them in the good copies for today. And for tomorrow, again, we will come out with a new topic and meet you again in the evening over evaluation and feedback. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for staying with us, and thank you for participating in this initiative. Keep doing that. That also motivates us to help you in a better way. So that will be it for today, guys. Thank you very much.